Testing, 1, 2, testing. Testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2. Okay, it looks like we're live. I'm just sending out a notification to everyone here, so everybody knows we're live, and then we're going to get started. Okay, starting to see people trickling in here. It'll be just a second. I'm sharing the invitation here. This is Epic Drone Show episode 9, and this is a live event. So be sure to comment live, and I'll have the opportunity to respond face on video to as many questions as I can. Today's focus is going to be the unique Typhoon H. So excited to share my discovery so far with the Typhoon H, and I want to get your feedback and see what you've discovered so far. Let me just get this out. Epic Drone Show episode 9. Getting it out to all my social media before we start here. I've played with the idea of scheduling these shows, but sometimes I think it's best if I just, when I have the time to do a live show, that I just jump on and do it, because that way I don't feel like I've got a commitment. I just do it when I'm feeling like it, and hopefully I'll get a lot more live shows out to everyone that way. One more share here. I'm going to share on my Facebook, and I encourage everyone to share with your friends, because we're about to go live, and this will hopefully be a quite lengthy live show. So let me just share one more place here, and then we will get started. I'm sharing on my Facebook fan page, facebook.com/IrixGuy, so that everybody. That's the funny thing about social media. If you don't share to all the sites, you may miss some of your viewers. Epic Drone Show episode 9. Actually, it's episode 9. Yep. Audio sounds great. Thank you. That's this microphone right here. That was a struggle for me, getting that to function like I wanted it to. And I've eliminated a lot of background noise. In the past, I had background noise that made this live show format less than optimal. And I've upgraded my internet connection speed, so I think you probably can see this in 720p HD. I don't know if you've got 1080p yet, but hopefully that's something that once I tweak my bandwidth settings, maybe I'll be able to do 1080p live. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started here. Obviously, the key question that a lot of people have had for me has been, what do you think? What are your thoughts about the unique Typhoon H? And that's what this is right here. And, one thing I really like about this, I like the controller. This right here is what they call the ST16 Sam Tom 16, ST16 controller. And it's actually really nice. I didn't know what to expect with the controller coming from DJI Phantom 3 Pro and DJI Phantom 4 that has the light bridge technology for FPV, for first-person view. I didn't know what to expect from the unique Typhoon H. And actually, what I discovered is this display on this is super clear. It's basically, it is a tablet. It's an integrated tablet, so you don't have to bring your own tablet. So if you're looking at the Typhoon H, you can go to 400orbelow.com. I just typed it there. Got the Typhoon H, the backpack, the extra batteries, and more. But if you're looking at it, take that into consideration, because you're not going to have to use a smartphone or a tablet, because it has this integrated screen built into the controller. The controller itself feels very nice. It's it is somewhat wide rather, but it's thin. So from a portability perspective, and if you've watched my videos, you know that I'm all about portability. That's why I don't like the Inspire 1. It's too big, it's too heavy. But why I do like the Typhoon H, because you're getting, like the Inspire, you're getting the retractable landing gear, and we're going to go into that in more detail here in a minute. But the controller itself, if you do pick one of these up, I mean the tactile feels really nice, the build quality is nice, and what's funny, it even says Intel inside. If you weren't aware, there's a big collaboration between Intel and Unique for the Typhoon H. So it's really neat, and I like how on the controller it's got the landing gear up and down, this knob right here, and then you've got your, if you're used to Phantom, you've got your gimbal wheel on this side here for up and down, and then over here you've got something quite interesting, and this is a tortoise and hare, so you can toggle it, and it'll, for example, if you've got it in hare mode, rabbit mode, when you take off, it's going to be a very rapid ascent. Whereas if you have it in the tortoise mode, it's going to be a very slow ascent. So that's a cool feature. So obviously it's got recording of video and still photos on this. One thing worth mentioning, though, unfortunately, at least with the current firmware, you can't snap a still photo unless you stop continuous video recording first. Antennas obviously on the top, they pop down for transport. So I mean it's a very, you can tell there's a lot of R&D, research and development, that went into the design of the Typhoon H. But and then it's got some niceties that you can attach to it. It's got this neck strap that you can optionally attach. It says Unique on it. I mean, it's good quality. Very, very nice material in my opinion. So you can put that on, and the thing I like the most, even though I'd prefer not to use the neck strap, I'm just not a neck strap kind of dude, but one thing I did like that came with it was this right here, and this is the sunshade. Very nice build quality, comes with it, and you simply, when you get out in the field, just pop it in. And you've got a sunshade now. So it's really it's neat that they included that. That's one thing that I will say that Unique did, in my opinion, did very well with this versus DJI's, that they took into account the things that that people will probably need for the Typhoon H, and they just went ahead and included it. And that's something, if you've been with the DJI world, within the DJI Phantom world, you've likely discovered that a lot of that stuff is the stuff you have to purchase separately. So it came with a sunshade, it came with a neck strap. Now this is something that may or may not come with Typhoon H going forward. This is a you could put it on your arm. It's a waterproof pouch for this, which may or may not be included going forward. This is the Typhoon Wizard. So it's a creative way to control your Typhoon H, and see, it'll go down in this little waterproof pouch. So that's something I've got to investigate in more detail. It's what all I can do with this. But see how that is, and then this is like a Ziploc type thing, and then you twist it to better ensure water resistance, and then you close that. So now you've got this that you can put on your arm or whatever. So that's kind of a neat little gadget that came with it. Again, it may not come with the Typhoon H going forward, but it came with my pre-order. And obviously, as I had mentioned, I actually had pre-ordered this one time and I canceled the pre-order because of uncertainties that many of my top fans sent my way. So I pre-ordered again, but I guess I was lucky and I got the I got this Wizard controller, which honestly I probably won't use for my purposes. I mean, my thing is that when I fly a drone, and if you've seen my videos, you know that I like to fly low and slow and capture that really smooth and just silky looking 4K Ultra HD video. So it's probably not going to be of that much use for me. And when I chase a boat around or something, I'm doing it line of sight and utilizing FPV display to ensure that I'm in the camera's frame. So it's not necessarily something that I'll use. Now, looking at the Typhoon H itself, there's a few things here that are really cool. Number one, and I will say they may have borrowed this idea from DJI, but the soft filling prop sack. Now, unlike the Phantom, this is a hexacopter, so it uses 6 propellers. So they're black propellers. They look really nice. Seem to be very well made. Haven't had any problems with them so far. We've got a comment coming in. Do you like the Phantom, or is it too early to decide? Actually, I'm going to talk about that here in a little bit on this live show, because I do have a somewhat solid opinion now. And then someone else says, thinking about picking up the H as well. I'm concerned, though, because your sample video during your first flight looked heavily distorted and the color seemed way off. Think that was editing or what? And that is a key question right there. So we're going to hit that here in a second because that's something I want to talk about after we look at all of this, because that is, we'll talk about it here in a minute. So it's nice how these arms pop out, and they've got a reassuring snap, just a very semi-silent snap sound when you pop them out, so that you know that it's locked. The design feels really nice. One thing I will comment about is the carbon fiber. It looks really slick. Looks, it gives this thing a really futuristic look to it, in my opinion. Some things that I will tell you out of the box that you'll probably notice, aside from the fact it looks really cool, is that this shell, the shell of the main unit, it's going to feel more like a Phantom 3 or a previous model Phantom versus the Phantom 4. If you've held a Phantom 4 in your hand, you know what I'm talking about. It's just a very solid feeling plastic type material. This, although it feels nice, it just doesn't have as solid of a feel as the Phantom 4. But I would say it's right on par with Phantom 3 and previous Phantoms. One other thing I noticed is that, and this is something a lot of people have commented about, this is the battery. I like the design. It's I have no complaints with that, but what you will notice with it, when you stick this in, it's easy to think you may be locked, and you're not. You've really got to give it a semi-forceful push, and then hear a snap. So there have been reports, and I take every report I hear on the internet with a grain of salt, whether it's Phantom or Typhoon H or tomorrow's drone, whatever that may be. Because people just by default seem to want to complain, and I don't know if it's valid or not, but a lot of people have commented that the battery is falling out during flight, and that's likely a result of someone not pushing it in as far as they should. Now, looking at the bottom of this, the camera, the gimbal is going to remind you more of a let's just say a Phantom 3 style gimbal, because you're seeing these two little spongy things on opposing corners that attach the gimbal. Now, if you've seen the Phantom 4 gimbal, the Phantom 4's gimbal is more internalized. When you look at it, you don't see as much dangling underneath the drone. Now, obvious advantage here to the Typhoon H is that it's a modular camera. And let's see. Okay, there we go. It's a modular camera, meaning that it comes off. There's the camera. And there's the mount that the camera goes on. Now, an advantage to this is that it opens up the opportunity for a variety of cameras to be attached to the Typhoon H without having to purchase another drone. That's something, at least at this point in time, DJI has not done with their Phantom series. They have not incorporated a modular camera design into the Phantom, and that's been a pain point for a lot of people because they feel like they're having to rebuy the entire kit and caboodle when they should just have to buy a newer camera if that's all they care about. But this opens up the door for all sorts of good stuff because, you know, infrared cameras, maybe a 360 spherical camera. I'd love to see a 360 spherical camera on a drone. But we're going to talk about the performance of this camera, this being the CG03. We'll talk about it here in a minute. We're going to look at the equipment here first. We use a little micro SD card. It sticks in there. It's, the design of the camera is decent. It does include a camera protector for while in transport. I mean, nothing revolutionary there. But this gimbal itself, on this modular camera, if you hold it in your hands, you're going to notice it kind of has a cheap feel to it. It's a very thin plastic. Not that I plan to crash my Typhoon H, but I would appreciate a more well-designed gimbal assembly. Not saying this is bad. I'm just saying it's not the tactile feel that I was expecting from a gimbal on a drone of this price point. So that's the most polite way to say it, I guess. So looking at the propellers, one thing that was cool is how they go on and off. And if you've used the Phantom 4, you know that propeller on and off on it is very, very nice. So some have black center, some have white center, white, black, white, black. So this one has a black center. You just look at the orientation of the lock. Simply hold the motor, push down, and twist in the lock direction. To take it off, you look at the icon for the unlock. You push the nipple down, you twist in the unlock direction. Very intuitive, very well explained on the unit itself. I mean, on the propeller, and then also on the nipple colors. You got black nipple or white nipple. Someone says, so maybe that will be a weak point with people removing and replacing. Modular might mean easily breakable in this instance. That's my assumption because I take, obviously when I'm messing with any sort of high-tech equipment, I'm very cautious about how I handle it. But even handling this cautiously, I still have my doubts. If I take it on and off, repeatedly, let's say I had an infrared camera and then I had this for daytime use, would I be confident taking this on and off repeatedly, thinking that it may not wear out over time? I would have my concern that I may crack it inadvertently, or it may sliding it on and off repeatedly may destroy something on it. I don't know. I mean, I'm jumping to some assumptions there, but to fold this thing up, you simply push on each arm and it lets down. This is another part of this drone that I feel could potentially break over time, because you've got 6 of these arms, and it's just, if it feels very well made, yet even though it feels well made, it feels, to your point, it says same thing with those foldable arms, quality or cheap. The arms themselves, the carbon fiber part, feels really high quality. The motors on the end, they seem to be of decent quality. But what concerns me is where this arm piece right here mates with this central part of the unit. That's the part that kind of has and I don't want to say cheap, but I would say it's more in line with an older model Phantom. It doesn't have that solid feel like the Phantom 4 body has. So that's apparent there. and in these arm pieces as well. So I don't. Let's put it this way: if this thing ever did crash, which I wouldn't hope that anybody's drone would crash, but if it did, it would probably break. I don't have a high level of confidence that this thing would be able to withstand abuse. And the other thing worth mentioning is that, see, this, when this is folded down before I put it back in the case, the other thing worth mentioning is that this is still pretty big. Now, one of the things that DJI Phantom has going for it is that it is a manageable, I shouldn't say small, but it's a manageable travel size and weight. This is still on the kind of large size. It's not anything nearly as ridiculous rather as an Inspire, but it's still pretty big. I mean, when I put this top part on this case here, you can see it's taller. It's taller than a Phantom 4 case, and it's not significantly larger, but it is going to require different case options, and it's not going to be, if you're traveling with it, it's not going to be as optimal in my opinion. Getting the recurring question, would you recommend the Phantom 4 or the Typhoon H more? And that's what I'm about to get into, and I'm going to explain my reason why. So you can check out my video. I've filmed it, but I haven't posted it yet. Updating the Typhoon. Yeah, there's no, on this case, there's absolutely no latch or anything to hold it together. It just sits on. And I think that was a strategic move on their behalf, because if you check out my Typhoon H page on 400 or below.com, you'll find that they have a backpack that's sold for this, and that backpack's used in conjunction with this. So, even though you're getting a significant amount rather of free niceties when you get this, there are certain things that you would probably have to get, like the carrying case, or if you went with the backpack. It did come, before I get into the Phantom 3 Pro, Phantom 4, and Typhoon H comparison discussion. I want to show y'all what else it came with. I thought it was really nice. It came with a car charger, and obviously this would work in a car, boat, motorcycle, anywhere that you have that sort of connector. And if you're in a residence or an office or whatever, you've got this charger, but you can unplug it. If you don't want to use the wall charger, you can use the car charger. So that's convenient, and that was included. At least it was with mine. And then coming off of that is this USB cable that charges the controller. And I didn't have an issue. I don't know if it's recommended, but I charged the battery for the Typhoon H and the controller at the same time. Did not encounter an issue. Leads me to the next point. It does come with a small micro SD card that's inserted into a full-size SD adapter. Now that contains the owner's manuals, and that's where we're going to start with a pain point here. I will tell you that, and granted, I mean, when I approached this thing, I approached it with the mentality that, I come from, many years of DJI Phantom experience. DJI Phantom 1, DJI Phantom 2, Phantom 2 Vision Plus, Phantom 3 Pro, Phantom 4. So I attacked it from that angle, but I will tell you, when you take this out, this is going to seem significantly more overwhelming than a DJI Phantom controller. Not that that's a bad thing. I like their interface on here, but it's definitely probably going to seem more overwhelming. And something I noticed, and yes, and that was something I got from a lot of viewers on my YouTube channel, is that, hey man, you didn't even read the documentation before you field tested. Obviously, I read the documentation. I understood the basics of using the Typhoon H, but I wanted to approach it in a way to where I was DJI fanboy, taking on this new technology for the first time and seeing how it performed for me. And that's where I started to experience some pain points, because the documentation comes on at least it did with mine, the included micro SD card that came with the Typhoon H. Now, that documentation was not that great in my opinion. And then there's also, even though the build quality of this seems to be nice, again, we've talked about the structural quality seems to be more on par with a a Phantom 3 or previous previous model Phantom, the structural quality is still not that great. And when you get into the app, for example, my firmware update, and you can check out that video, I'll be posting it soon. But hey, welcome aboard. We got more people coming on here. But what you'll notice are some of the small things, like when you're looking at, for example, the firmware update. There's a lot of very poor grammar, and for me, if I was a company that was trying to really promote this product in a positive way, and it be the game changer that I want it to be perceived as, I think I would put some more around, some more quality control around the app. I mean, try updating your firmware and read, look at the grammar. I mean, it's terrible. It's very poor translation. They should have had a quality control team go in and proofread that stuff. I mean, it's basic stuff. And if it leads me to believe, well, if there's grammatical errors that are that bad during the firmware update, which is hopefully something that hopefully everyone would want to do with this drone, how well refined is all of the other stuff? And then that's what led me into the exploring the various features of this Typhoon H. And I will tell you, it looks really nice, but when you really start to dig in and start to play with the features, and I'll have a video coming out, the orbit point of interest. When you really start to play with the features, you'll likely notice how incomplete everything feels within the app today, at least. Now, is this going to change with future firmware updates? Who knows? Something before we get to the comparison here, an issue I had, there's a micro SD slot on the bottom of this controller. Mine doesn't work. I can't get the card to stay in. So since I couldn't find documentation included or documentation online, because there's 2 firmware update pieces, the video that you'll see from me is how to update the Typhoon H. So I did that. Everything went okay with that. Put the micro SD card in the camera, and it updated. The problem is, this also has an update. But to update it, since I couldn't find the documentation, it's my assumption that the micro SD card has to go into the controller to update the controller portion. But as you'll see here, it doesn't want to lock in. So I can't update my controller. So once again, my concerns in regards to quality of the product. So I'm not totally won over by this. I mean, granted, out of the box it looks nice. First time in the field, it flew really well. It was a lot of fun. But when you really start to scrutinize this thing, you may start to notice subtle things that leave a little bit of question in your mind. And I'm not saying DJI is a perfect product, because it's definitely not. One thing I will say that's positive about the Typhoon H is that I did not experience a tilted horizon issue. And that's something I've experienced with Phantom 3 Pro and Phantom 4. Yeah, currently I just have the Phantom 4. I don't have the Phantom 3 Pro anymore. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's I'm not trying to steer people one way or the other, but I will go ahead and tell you my final verdict and why I've reached that verdict. And that is and you can check out my video. Check out my first field test video, and then check out my video that I'm about to post. It's my follow-up video in the field with the updated firmware, not on the controller, because again, my controller is defective. The micro SD card slot doesn't work. I can't hold a card in there. But that was updated firmware on the Typhoon H only. So this is why I'm sticking with Phantom, and it's the video quality, because the video quality, the 4K 30 frames per second, 3840 by 2160 30 frames per second, and 3840 by 2160 30 frames per second on a Phantom 3 Pro, on a Phantom 4, or on the Typhoon H. When I look at all three of those, I just don't get the 4K 30 video quality from the Typhoon H that I do from the Phantom 3 Pro or the Phantom 4. And for me, being involved with this hobby for video is something that it's a deal breaker, because as this channel, actually I am in a restaurant. This is a restaurant by the name of Spice Mill, and it's in St. Kitts in the British West Indies. So yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things you've got to make your own decision. And if you're not in it, if you don't really care about video quality that much, this may be a really good drone, because it is fun and it is cool. When you go out there and you're flying and you lift the landing gear or put it down, that's kind of neat to watch, I'll admit. But when I see that and I think about the Phantom 4, I've been unable to get the Phantom 4 landing gear. Now with my Phantom 3 Pro I did, but with the Phantom 4, because the landing gear is more widely spaced, I've been unable to get the Phantom 4 landing gear in my camera's field of view. So the fact that the landing gear lifts up is really not that much of value to me. It's just something else that could potentially break. And it looks cool, but it doesn't really provide value. And then also people will say, well, the Typhoon H, man, you can rotate the camera 360 degrees. You can. But why not just rotate the drone 360 degrees? So, I mean, there's a lot of things that I just don't get. I mean, I like the fact that they seem to really want to compete with DJI, because they realize that the Phantom is, I mean, without a doubt, and opinion is probably shared by many, is that the Phantom is without a doubt the most advanced and most long-lived aerial platform on the market today. And with that said, I'm not saying it's the best aerial platform, but I will say that they've, from Phantom 1 through present, being Phantom 4, that I've flown all of them, hundreds of hours. When you experience that and you see that the product seems to be getting better and better, it's not free of problems. We've seen tilted horizon issue. We've seen, on rare occasions, firmware update issues. We've heard the horror stories of customer service. But it's one of those things you got to say, I'm an early adopter, and it's, are you willing to accept those troubleshooting challenges to be part of this hobby early on? Again, as I've reiterated over and over, this is like the bag cell phone days. If you ever remember when cell phones first came out, they were in a bag. And, as the technology evolved, now we've got Android phones and iPhones that you can touch the screen and they're amazing. So it's just like that with drones. I mean, we're in the infancy of this technology. So if you're a hobbyist that can't deal with the less than perfect operating conditions, and something that's going to have to evolve as time passes, it's it may not be for you. But for me, I love the hobby, and I've really enjoyed. I was thrilled to get something, because every time I've stepped away from DJI, I played with the Parrot Bebop. I really wanted that to be good. It was small, but then you got the controller. It negated the size advantage of the smaller drone, and then the camera quality was subpar. It didn't have a gimbal. It was software stabilized, and the video looked terrible in my opinion. So it's good to have a competitor that seems to be determined to dethrone DJI, because this signals their ambition, in my opinion. I was not a fan of the previous unique models. They were too big, and they didn't seem refined. But this is the first one that seems to have the refinement on the surface. But then when I dig in, I discover that it's not as it looks out of the box. So I mean, if you're, watch my videos, and if you pick one up, heck, pick one up. Go to 400orbelow.com, and you can find them there. I mean, it's a cool drone. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying for me, when it comes down to, and this has been a question from an abundance of my fans, hey man, should I get the Phantom 3 Pro? Should I get the Phantom 4? Should I get the Typhoon H? So my thing will be, if you're in it for something that looks really cool and it's got the landing gear and it's it's a somewhat new platform that may continue to evolve in a positive way, then maybe you want to pick up the Typhoon H. I mean, it is cool. But if you want something that, at least from my experiences, has had a proven and reliable track record, I would go with Phantom 3 Pro. And if you're wanting something newer, it actually seems to be better structural build, better build quality structurally, and cost isn't an issue, I would go with Phantom 4. So, and again, Phantom 4 is the newest DJI Phantom, so I haven't had the flight time with it that I have with the Phantom 3 Pro. I love the Phantom 3 Pro, and I love the Phantom 4. But the thing is, with both of those drones, the video quality that I get, and I film everything in 4K, Ultra HD now, the video quality I get in 4K of a Phantom 3 Pro or a Phantom 4 greatly exceeds the video quality of the Typhoon H. And check out, I've got a flight test, my flight where I was out in the field, where the one where I was doing the face on camera and then the actual video from the drone. I've got another one where I just did the straight video, where you can see just the video from the drone. It's a long video, but if you want to watch it and scrutinize it and see when the light changes and the direction of the drone changes in relation to the sun and see what it does, I mean, I don't know. Everybody has their own opinion when it comes to video quality, what's acceptable and what's not. But given my experience with, and most of my, well, actually all the cameras I use now are Sony's. So, it's just, this just doesn't compete. I'm saying this in regards to the camera that's on there now. It's a CG03. Let me make sure it's CG03. I think that's CG03 Plus is what the camera is on the Typhoon H. So if they come out with a better camera, hey, with this being a modular design, what if somebody like Sony came out with just a really killer camera that would work with this? That could be extremely cool. I mean, that really could be. What are your thoughts on Phantom 3 Advanced? Can you really see a difference in video quality? And this is a question, great question, something that I get from a lot of people. The Phantom 3 Advanced is not going to give 4K Ultra HD, but it is going to provide 2.7K after the firmware update. When it originally came out, it topped out at 1080p. But if you're filming in 4K and you're watching content that was filmed in 4K on a 4K smart TV, you watch something that was 1080p and then you watch 4K back to back, more than likely you're going to see a huge visual difference. I know that I do. Now, also keep in mind that if you film in 4K, and let's say you film in 4K, you don't even have a 4K smart TV or whatever to watch it, but you film it in 4K, you upload it to YouTube or somewhere, and then somebody else watches it, but they're only watching it in 1080p, since it was filmed in 4K natively from the camera, it's typically going to look better even if it's being watched in a lower resolution like 1080p. So there's some advantages. I mean, if you don't care about 4K or having 4K content, the Advance from that perspective is just as good as the Phantom 3 Pro. Now the Phantom 3 Pro, I think the charger on it may charge a little bit more quickly than the Advanced. I don't own an Advanced, but that's what I've heard from several people. So I would not, when it comes to Advanced, I would not hesitate to pick one of those up. I mean, Phantom is a proven platform, and I'm not vouching for quality or lack of quality when it comes to customer service. For me, that doesn't matter. I mean, it should matter. Every product should be backed by a company that provides excellent customer service. But for me, being an early adopter and a hobbyist playing with this technology, it's not a big deal for me. And I think that's one of the things that not just Unique, but other companies have really made, have really tried to put into the spotlight, is the attention to customer service. And that's a good thing, but it doesn't matter how excellent customer service may be. If the product's not that great, it's not really that significant. Now, if you've got a great product with great customer service, and I think that's what we may see, the GoPro Karma that was originally scheduled to release the beginning of calendar year 2016 is now apparently pushed back until, I think it's around October of calendar year 2016. So, you know, it's that's kind of cool how that goes in there, isn't it? So I think the GoPro Karma may be really cool, but again, without having hands on something, you know, it's somebody can't just speculate and say, "Oh man, that's gonna be the best drone ever." I feel confident the GoPro Karma will probably usher in some game-changing tech just because it's GoPro, and GoPro's really been struggling on the Wall Street recently. So you know they've got to impress, or they're going to fail, not just from a perception perspective, but also from a financial perspective. So I think we're really going to see something big come out of. This was cool. They gave you a stuffed sack for your car charger too, but I think you're going to see something big come out of the GoPro Karma. But you know, time will tell. Someone says, let's see. Well, I guess I'll stick with my Phantom 4 and Phantom 3 for now. Thank you for doing the dirty work for me. Hey, no problem. You know, and it's. I think your decision is a smart one, because this. You know, if you watch my videos, you know that I canceled my first pre-order because fans kind of scared me out of it, and then I got cold feet, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. You know, this has hit the market. What if I'm missing out on something great here? And I pre-ordered it again. Well, you know, here it is, and I'm just not. I'm not happy. I mean, I think it's the. I wanted this to be better. I mean, when I got it out of the box, I mean, I was just ecstatic, and now it's like, you know, after going out in the field with it for, well, let's see, 2 times so far, before and after the firmware update, it's just not doing it. It's not cutting the mustard for me. And the biggest thing for me is what I pointed out earlier about the just those subtle things that you'll see if you try to update the firmware and I mean, I know it's just grammatical errors, but if there's not enough quality control and process to check that sort of stuff before a production product goes out, makes me question how high quality is the tech underneath this cool looking shell. I mean, it's, again, I'm not trying to bash the product in any way. I'm stating my my candid feedback here. Let's see where all this stuff goes. Yeah, it's just not. There's just not that level of refinement that I was expecting out of this. I mean, it's the fact that my micro SD slot on my controller doesn't work means I can't even update the controller's firmware unless they change how that works. It's disappointing. I'm putting all of this back in here so you can see what this looks like packed up, with everything being the wall charger and the just everything. Let me see. This is the wall charger. I've got to remember where it went. Let's see. Oh, this has stumped me. Let's see here. Oh, it goes here. I put something in the wrong spot. So there's the wall charger. Let's see, that's the next try. This is the little controller thing. Yeah, I agree. Somebody says DJI is like Apple of drones. All other brands are like Android. And there's nothing wrong with Android. I mean, I love Linux and that sort of thing. But, yeah, that's my biggest gripe with DJI is that, see what they've done. They've got the Phantom, and it doesn't have a modular camera. Now, if DJI was smart, what they would do for people like us, they would release a DJI Phantom with modular camera, dual controller option, and allow, maybe even jack the price up. Maybe it's a extra professional model, or whatever they want to badge it as, of a Phantom 5 or whatever. And in that way, that would get people like me and probably some of you that, that don't want to get that huge Inspire drone that just, you want to have something that's manageable travel size and weight, like the Phantom, and you would have the luxury of being able to upgrade the camera yourself periodically. Because there's no doubt in my mind that the DJI Phantom camera is the best drone camera on the market today. I could not get with this anywhere close to the 4K 30 video quality that I did with Phantom 4 or Phantom 3 Pro. See, this is what it looks like. Well, there's something I got sticking up here. This is what it looks like when you close the case. And again, unlike the Phantom 4 that has a latch and that sort of thing, this doesn't latch. Because again, they're trying to get you to buy the backpack or something else to put it in. I mean, this is pretty big. Also worth mentioning on the bottom that the legs are sticking out. So this is by no means, I wouldn't even say it's even semi-water resistant. So, don't think that you're getting something that's actually going to protect your drone. But that's what it fits in. Let's see. Yeah, we're all waiting for the killer drone, not here yet. No, I agree. The killer drone is not here yet. I have an Inspire 1 and was thinking of getting Typhoon H to replace it. I definitely would not. If I was going to replace Inspire 1, I would get a Phantom 4 or a Phantom 3 Pro. Have you thought about... I have no need to use range extenders. I always fly line of sight to be safe and responsible. But the only exception is if I'm out over international waters and there's nothing around. Sometimes I'll push the range, not the altitude, but the range, and sometimes it's really cool. But no, I mean, a stock Phantom 3 Pro or a stock Phantom 4 would go insanely far, way too far for me to ever want to fly. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, this was exciting. This Typhoon H was exciting and disappointing at the same time. But I know there's a lot of people out there that have had good experiences, but if you're my opinion again is based upon the 4K video quality and just the things I've seen, like the broken micro SD card slot on the controller and the grammatical errors within the firmware update process. Just things that to me suggest there's a lack of quality control present. So with that being said, I mean this is it. I'm going to post some more videos, but am I gonna jump on the Typhoon H bandwagon and fly this thing instead of a Phantom 3 Pro or a Phantom 4? Probably not. So I mean that's my answer after giving this more than an honest attempt and updating the firmware. And it's funny, somebody's asking me to use Osmo. Not that much. Do you use your Osmo a lot, or do you have an Osmo? Yep, so unfortunately the verdict is out, and that's, for me, it's a disappointment. I know we're getting kind of long here. That's all that I had for this live show. But what do y'all have? I mean, this was just the main point of the show. But questions, comments, anything else you want to talk about drone related? This is the drone show, Epic Drone Show, epicdroneshow.com. So if we could stick to drone topics, that'd be great. I will have IrixGuy's live show, which is across the board content. I need to tweak this studio a little bit more. I've still kind of got my camera and kind of hunkered down here to get everything on camera. But what's up? What's the max range on the H? I don't know. I think it says it on the box, or check out my 400orbelow.com. It's got the specs on there, and it's the range is supposedly pretty considerable, but I don't think it's up there with a Phantom 3 Pro or a Phantom 4. And curiously enough, that brings up an interesting point, and that's the apparently the Phantom 3 Pro, people are saying the range of it has exceeded the Phantom 4. Now, I haven't taken my Phantom 4 out over open ocean yet, so I haven't compared the range of the Phantom 4 to the Phantom 3 Pro, but a lot of people have, and they say that it's Phantom 4 has longer range than Phantom 3 Pro has a longer range than Phantom 4, so that's quite interesting. Can I give a shout out to Cole Nabavi? There you go. Shout out to Cole Nabavi. What's up? So, and that was just came on set. The big animal. That was Sean Coonery, the enormous Maine Coon cat, and he's got a lot of videos and doing quite perfectly well. IrixGuy, I want you to talk about being your own boss on one of your shows. Actually, I do have on, now that's not Epic Drone Show, but IrixGuy's live show. I'm going to have some content, some entrepreneurship. And that'll be, cat bit me. That's just the fancy way of saying, being your own boss. So I'll have some content for that very soon on IrixGuy's live show. Winning, thanks. Cool. Missed something about the H 4K quality. What's not good compared to Phantom 3, Phantom 4? Watch my video, and I'm going to post a few more. I've filmed them already, but I haven't uploaded them to YouTube yet. And especially watch when you see my Phantom 3 Pro videos and my Phantom 4 videos that are in 4K, especially when I'm in a sunny environment and the sun comes into the frame. Keep in mind, I'm filming with 4K 30 auto on the Phantom 3 Pro, the Phantom 4, and then also the Typhoon H. But when you look at that video quality, you'll probably notice, especially when it's getting towards the sun, just the lens flare, and just notice how the color. If you look at the color of a Phantom 3 Pro or a Phantom 4 4K video, and then look at the color of a Typhoon H video, and you'll probably notice it's called saturation. If you want to get technical about it, the saturation from my observations on the H is just not up there, and it is just, I don't know. I wanted more. I wanted more from the H, but for me, and that may not be a deal breaker for everyone, but for me, that 4K video quality is unfortunately a deal breaker for me. So, yep, sticking with the DJI Phantom, at least for now, on my end. Hey, thanks. Excellent as always. I enjoy your videos and appreciate the time you put into it. Hey, it's just it's a way to have fun and experiment with things that may or may not be impressive. Can lens filters be used on the H? Actually, they can, and check out 400orbelow.com. I'm going to be listing some lens filters there that you can use with the H. We're about 53 minutes in. I got to get the grill going and cook some food, and we will have a new live show soon. Again, I may start scheduling some of these, but I think it's kind of cool just to periodically just pop open a live show and talk about what's cool at that point in time. We had a large viewership, and I appreciate everyone coming in, because this was not scheduled. What's your favorite drone under 200? Under $200? Great question. Let's talk about that. This is episode 9. Let's talk about that on episode 10 of Epic Drone Show. I would say check out 400orbelow.com, and there's a link I have there. It's called a Hubson. You go to the store, and then you go to Hubson, and that's actually an affordable drone. And there's another one that I've got on there that I reviewed a while back. It's called a UDI. You can find both of those on 400orbelow.com. Cool. Yep. Not much left of the weekend. Y'all have a good rest of the weekend too. And I'm going to go ahead and disconnect here. Again, go to epicdroneshow.com. You can find all the drones. You can find the previous Epic Drone Show episodes, and then also upcoming Epic Drone Show episodes too. In case you're not able to make them live, I'll put them all there on epicdroneshow.com. Thanks for watching, and y'all have a good day. And be sure to subscribe. YouTube.com/IrixGuy.